If you're watching this, you've probably heard of SpaceX. In case you haven't, SpaceX is a privately owned space company who have been delivering cargo to the International Space Station and landing reusable rocket stages in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. But SpaceX has bigger plans. Its stated goal is to establish a colony on Mars with a population of at least 80,000 people, lowering the cost of a journey to Mars to $500,000. But before that happens, SpaceX has some significant milestones to overcome. Fortunately, SpaceX is an innovative, flexible, and disruptive newcomer to a space industry that has been pretty stagnant for the last few decades. A 21st century, forward-thinking approach might have the potential to revolutionize spaceflight and enable humanity to become an interplanetary civilization. Elon Musk is expected to unveil key information about SpaceX's plans at the International Astronautical Congress on the 27th of September 2016, but concrete details on SpaceX's actual Mars architecture are currently difficult to come by. One thing that is known for sure is that Musk has described plans for a system called the Mars Colonial Transporter, or MCT. The MCT is intended to take 100 people, or 100 tons of cargo to Mars at a time. This is much more mass than has ever been sent to Mars before. Details are still unknown, but it's most likely that the MCT will be launched in a single part on top of a colossal rocket, what Elon Musk refers to as the BFR, or Big Falcon rocket. This rocket will need to be the largest rocket ever constructed, and will most likely be designed for maximum reusability. As more rockets are built and routinely fly between Earth and Mars, payloads will eventually become cheaper, enabling more people and more equipment to be sent over. Considering that a society on Mars would need to be populated by tens or even hundreds of thousands of people to be self-sufficient, it's a logical question to ask, what would we actually do on Mars? Currently, Mars is a lifeless rock populated entirely by robots. It has no industry, culture, or economy. Any natural resources on Mars would take an enormous amount of energy to send back to Earth. But what Mars does have is an untapped wealth of information. While robots do a good enough job of teaching us new things about our place in the universe, humans are much more versatile, and they don't need to be remote controlled with a 14-minute time delay. A Mars colony would essentially be the biggest and baddest university in the entire solar system, or like Antarctica's research stations on a planetary scale. At this planet-sized university, the key fields of study would most probably be pretty similar to what we've already been using robots to study on Mars: astronomy, planetary science, life science, and engineering. Then there would be scholars studying the colony itself. Sociologists, historians, psychologists, and philosophers might all find fruitful academic niches on Mars. Of course, this university would need a lot of support staff to run. Administrators, cooks, maintenance staff, and all of these people would need food to eat and buildings to live in and transportation. All of these things can be sourced from Mars itself. Mars is the only place in the solar system other than Earth that has all the ingredients we need to be self-sufficient. Water, air, and fuel can be extracted from Mars's atmosphere, and after a couple of cargo missions, it would theoretically be possible for the community to be self-sustaining. But it's very likely that a colony would still be very dependent on resources from Earth. It's also natural to ask, who or what will pay for all of this? Space programs are expensive, so it's unintuitive and difficult to see how a whole colonization program could possibly be economically feasible. This whole endeavor will probably start out on a pretty small scale, and become much larger and cheaper over time as the necessary frameworks are put into place. SpaceX's first customer might be NASA. SpaceX is really an infrastructure company, not a research agency. So NASA or the American government might decide that research could be done for much cheaper using SpaceX than developing its own launch capability. Universities and research institutions would then be next. Besides being a huge opportunity for research, sending scientists to Mars would be a great subject for a university ad campaign. The ability to slap their name on a Mars mission would be very attractive to a university with a lot of money to spend. Next comes investment by companies looking to advertise their products and services as Mars approved. Over time, these industries might start losing out to homegrown Martian companies, manufacturing products for Martian industries on Mars itself. Furthermore, from Mars, launching rockets is much easier, so Mars might become a much more convenient launch pad for asteroid mining and missions further out into the solar system. A space elevator, which is much easier to construct on Mars than on Earth, would make it much more possible to export goods from Mars to Earth, as well as other potential human colonies around the solar system. Mars might very well become the cradle of interplanetary civilization. On top of that, a colony on Mars might provide a lot of entertainment for people back on Earth. TV deals could provide another stream of revenue, beaming back documentaries, news, reality TV, and maybe even sports. Is anyone interested in low-gravity football? As human presence on Mars becomes more developed, we will probably start to terraform the planet in order to make it more Earth-like. But this process will likely last over 1,000 years. This might be the most important undertaking in human history, providing us with a home away from home and redefining our place in the universe. If you're watching this video in 2016, this all sounds ridiculous. No human has ever set foot on Mars, but if Elon Musk succeeds in lowering the cost of spaceflight and creating a reliable, reusable infrastructure, Mars becomes a significantly more accessible destination. What might sound more ridiculous, however, is that Musk wants to get the ball rolling on this in 2024, 8 years from now. If all goes to plan, we might be seeing a presentation as significant as Kennedy's "We Choose to Go to the Moon" speech this week. And in 1962, the idea of two men walking around on the surface of the moon just under 7 years later was just as unthinkable as a Mars colony seems to us today.